Hi, I'm Lisette Rodriguez.
And I'm Jeremiah Rodriguez.
And this is
Speaking Life Podcast, where we're inspiring hearts
and transforming minds.
Today we're going to speak about breaking fear and building faith. Were you ever afraid of anything? I don't ever see you being afraid of anything.
I've been afraid of a lot of things. What do you mean?
Like what?
Like getting in trouble.
And
like
what
getting
aspect?
Caught.
In what aspect?
Even as a child, like doing things you know you're not supposed to do, but you did them anyway.
See, when I think about fear, I'm thinking like something deeper. You're thinking more so like surface level stuff then.
Okay, but you said fear. You didn't say what type of fear.
I mean, if we're going to go surface level, I'm afraid of spiders. I hate them, actually. They're not fun.
Yeah, I'm sure they're more afraid of you than what you're afraid of them.
That's not the point. I just don't like them. They don't belong on Earth whatsoever. I don't know why God even created them.
They must have a purpose.
To die. But anyway, going forward, right? I think one of the biggest fears I've ever had was success. I have no idea why I feared success. And maybe it was more so of like what came with success or the cost of success itself. So anytime like I inched towards it, and it would be like a perfect example was college. When I would go to college, I had to enter the business school, but there were certain requirements. And I knew I had to go to the business school to ask certain questions. But every time I went to the business school, the door before the business school, I would stop.
Really?
Yeah, I would stop with anxiety, like heavy anxiety, just because I knew if I asked the right questions and I was pointing in the right direction, I would succeed. But I was just like, I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how to go about this. I don't know. So every time I was supposed to go, I got to the front of the door and then I would leave.
So what you're saying is you're more afraid of the unknown.
I guess you could say it's more so the unknown. I'm not entirely sure what it was. I just didn't want to take the step forward and like figure out what I needed to do. Even though on paper I knew what I needed to do, but physically I was like, nah, I'm good. I just didn't want to open the door. So if success was a door, I just didn't want to open it. I just wanted to be on the outside. I never wanted to enter.
That is crazy.
Yeah, I have no idea why. I couldn't tell you where that's rooted from. Like even now, years later, I couldn't even tell you like where that stemmed from, to be honest.
I mean, if you're telling me that you're afraid of the steps that you need to take to become successful, I can rock with that.
Yeah.
But afraid of being successful in itself?
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing. People fear success, believe it or not. But again, it's different aspects. At the root core of it, I have no idea. I could not tell you. I'm still to this day, I'm trying to figure it out. Like why it was like as if like there was a force field around that door and I knew I couldn't touch it. I knew I couldn't open it. And I was just like, I'm good. I'm going to turn around and go right back to my dorm. I'm quite okay. I'm not going to ask these questions. I'm not going to ask if I need to enter. I don't care. I'm just going to walk away.
What about now?
Well, now it's a different story. Now I'm finding ways to be better. But like as far as like understanding that, I still don't understand. Like I can tell you like obviously, well not obviously, but I never finished college. So for me, like looking back at it now, I can tell you what I could have done better. Older, being, having more wisdom. I know what I could have done better. But as to why, have no idea. But now I don't fear success. I welcome it because maybe I have an understanding what the cost is. Maybe I have an understanding of like the effort that I need to put in. And honestly, I understand now that this life is not about me. It's always about the next person. Like I don't get up just for me. I get up now for my wife. I get up now for my dog. I get up now for my future home.
Your dog.
My future home.
Let's
Shout out to Kobe.
There.
Shout out to Kobe, man.
God.
Like now I get up for hope. I get up for you guys. Like I have my why. And maybe back then I didn't have a why. Maybe back then it was just like, all right, well, I'm supposed to get this degree and I'm supposed to do this and it's just for me. So maybe it was just a perspective of like, all right, me, instead of we. I was missing the we part because I think it's easy to, when you rely on yourself, is more so I can quit at any moment. And it's okay because I decided that. But when it's a we perspective, it's like I can't quit because everybody's counting on me. Because if I don't do this thing, they can't do their thing. Now I have that understanding. Back then, I didn't really care.
Would you say you're still afraid of success now in the present?
No, I'm not afraid of success now. Like I told you before, like I welcome it now. Now it's like it's at a point where I'm just like trying to find different ways to get better. not only try to get better, but also how can I make those around me better? I think that's my bread and butter, if you will. That's leadership, right? Empowering others. I find joy in doing that. But I think it's either Greg Rochelle or Pastor Chadovich. They end it with, when the leader wins, everybody else gets better. Why? Because now you're spreading that to everybody. So you can teach what you know, but you reproduce who you are. So like, who do I want to be, and who do I want to produce out of me? Do I want to reproduce somebody who's afraid and indecisive and not really forefront, or do I want to reproduce somebody who's strong and can make those decisions and say, you know what, in spite of, I'm still going to rock this thing out. Despite of the fear, in spite of what my physical eyes may see, I'm still going to execute it because I know what's on the other side of it.
But you sound now like you overcame that.
Yeah, honestly, I never really gave it too much thought. Like in the moment, and I never spoke about it until now. That's the funny part. I never spoke about it until now. But in the moment, it was like as if something was grasping me, and crippling me every time I got closer to the door. So every time I got closer to the door, I just froze. Like I would have a genuine panic attack. And sometimes I got halfway in once before and I hid behind a hall and I just couldn't go forth. And I think now that we're talking about it, I think it could have stemmed from failures because my freshman year, guys, I finished with a 1.8 GPA because I really wasn't focused on school. I was focused on other things. So with that being said, now the next year I'm coming in with, I lost a freshman 60. They say you either gain 15 pounds or lose 15 pounds. I gained 3 children and then I lost it. And then I decided that, my faith was going to kickstart that year. Started a cell group and stuff like that. So maybe now that we're speaking, it's funny. Now that we're speaking about it, when I entered it, maybe I thought about my past failures and I thought I was unworthy for success. I wasn't worthy of it. It's funny. This is the first time I'm getting clarity on this. Maybe I thought I wasn't worthy or I wasn't worth it because I remember my failures. And there was a lot of failures that, even though I boosted my GPA from a 1.8 to 2.8 and that took a lot of work, I still felt unworthy because I made so many mistakes. I never thought of, it's okay. Everybody falls flat on their face. Everybody, it happens to somebody sooner than later, but you just got to keep pushing forward. And that's the part that, 1, I didn't have because 2, I didn't communicate how I was feeling. I didn't communicate to you and Dad. And I never communicated to anybody how I was feeling. I was just whatever. It is what it is. This is life. And, I'm just going to never overcome this fear. That was my thought process during that present time.
I don't know if you realize it, but even as you're speaking, I wonder if you realize that you had to go to the university of failure in order to now succeed.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess going through that school, funny, university of failure at a university, shout out to Seton Hall. But now looking back, I can understand the me back then. I can understand why fear was crippling me so much. And now I'm able to break that. You know what I mean? I'm able to break that because I understand the cost of certain things. I understand that it's more expensive to go back than it is to go forward. I understand now how to empower people. I understand that life is going to suck at some point, but guess what? I still got to push through it.
So you had to fail to succeed.
Yeah, I had to fail to succeed. But this time I'm willing to fail forward. I'm not willing to fail back. And I think that's where fear cripples people because they're like you said, they're scared of the unknown. So they don't want to fall forward. They rather revert back to what they know. Just like the Israelites. At least back in Egypt, we knew we were getting food. At least back in Egypt, we knew we were working. At least back in Egypt, we knew how the schedule was going to be.
Even though they didn't like it. But.
No, even though they got whipped and they got bullied and they got thrown to the ground, they just at least we knew. Right. But because now I'm in uncharted territory, I don't know what's next. I don't have control of the situation. Not that they had control back in Egypt, right. But for some reason, I guess in a weird psychological way, they're trying to say, "Oh, we do," but they never did. But yeah, that is just uncharted territory for some people. So breaking that fear can be hard for a lot of people.
And just like you, I know there's a lot of people out there that probably have failed time and time again, or like you said first, feel unworthy because of past decisions and past mistakes. they could have made. But the reality is, you would not be who you are today had you not failed back then. And I can't impress that enough, because sometimes people don't understand. They're wasting so much time thinking about or pondering on their failure that it doesn't allow them to move forward. It actually keeps them hostage in a place where it debilitates them.
Yeah.
So what God was trying to teach them through their failure, they're not learning it because they're afraid, like you said before, to move forward and to succeed.
Yeah.
But I think another thing that holds people hostage as well is fear. So when fear grabs a hold of our emotions, if we are unable to shake that, that causes us to stay stagnant in the same place.
Yeah.
You know, it robs us of the ability to move forward. So if fear grabs a hold of our emotions and we concentrate on our emotions, because we are emotional human beings, I mean, and we grab a hold of those emotions, what happens is that they have us in a state of mind that doesn't allow us to move forward. So even though physically we look free, but mentally we're in bondage.
Yeah, that part. I think is the mental part, because I think during that college period, faith was out the window for me. You know, like my freshman year, like I wanted to do my own thing. I told God, I was like, I'm good off you. Like I want to do my own thing. I've been in the church for ever since I was born. I'm good. Like, let me do me. That didn't work out, guys. Just saying. So now that I have the faith, I understand what I was missing. But like, I think for people, it's like faith and fear, they're almost similar. And the reason I say they're almost similar is because you have to believe in something that you can't see, right? Faith, we believe in a God we can't see, but we feel and we communicate on a daily. Fear, you're believing something you can't see because you imagine it could be in your head. It's not that it's actual reality. It's the fact that, all right, well, this could happen. So because of that fear of it could possibly happen, I'm not going to step out in faith because this what could possibly happen. Not knowing that if you actually stepped out in faith, the opposite can happen. But we hold ourselves hostage. So I think the person that comes to mind for me is Joseph. Right? Like he's given a dream, sold into slavery by his brothers. He's wrongfully accused in Potiphar's house, goes to the pit, and then enters the palace. But everywhere he went, he was in communion with the Father, and he was always blessed and he was always honored. So he was always put in charge. No matter where he went, he was always put in charge. So for me, it was just like, I'd never had the faith part. I was never in communion with the Father until like after my freshman year. That's when I started developing my faith, and that's where I can relate with Joseph when I was like, all right, communicating with the Father, even though I didn't know what was going to happen next, right? So like I didn't know, I can't feel what Joseph felt. I can only imagine. You know, you're given a dream, right? And then you're sold into slavery, and then you're in prison, like, and then you're like, what's his thought process?
I get it.
Anybody else in that situation, I'm pretty sure I would quit. Like, that's just me. But in that situation, I'm sure there was fear, but he was breaking the fear and building faith. Like, he was building faith that entire time. And it's funny because I think he tried to help God in a sense, because he told the cupbearer, hey, remember me. Like, when you go to Pharaoh, remember me. Like, remember me. And Jesus was like, hold up, what you doing? God was like, hold up, what you doing? Like, no, your time is not yet. It's not here yet. No, it's not here yet. But when the appointed time comes, I will summon you. So I think in building that faith, it helps break that fear. But I think it's the process that people have to continue with. That's what breaks the fear.
I think in the biblical context of speaking about people that have endured fear and has still moved forward, there's so many stories.
Yeah.
Right? There's so many stories in the Bible that we can pick and choose and discuss. But the one that comes to my mind rapidly is Peter.
Oh, yeah.
Being a water walker, like, you know, who looks at Jesus in the middle of the storm and says, hey, if that's you, call me to come.
Think about how cool that must have been, though. Like, walking on water.
That's crazy.
Really think about how many steps, you know, you can walk on water. Legit walking. It's like that movie. What's that movie? The Shack we watched.
Yeah.
When they were like him and Jesus, quote unquote, were like running on the water.
Right.
How cool is that? Like, really thinking about that. And this boo-boo man decides he's gonna.
What captivates me about Peter is the fact that, you know, he not only did he say it, but he actually took the step.
Yeah.
I think fear would have stopped the majority of us.
Oh, 100%.
Like, even if we would have heard God say, hey, come, I think fear would have still paralyzed us.
Yeah.
And to many of us, that's our problem, that we allow fear to paralyze us when fear is false evidence appearing real.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that part.
So we allow it to stop us. But when I think about Peter, how he took the first few steps and he was able to walk on water, but then began to sink.
Yeah. Yeah.
He began to sink. Like, think about it.
Yeah.
So he succeeded to fail.
Yeah. But he was
To succeed.
failing forward. He was failing forward. But also, I think, like, let's use that example, for example, right? I think people allow logic to step in their way as well. Because let's take Peter, for example. Peter said, if that's you, let me step out on the water. Because allow me to, right? Now, if this is a modern day, people know, like, ain't no way. Ain't no way I want to step on this water and I'm gonna be able to walk. Ain't no way I'm gonna be stepping on this water and be able to moonwalk, right? Like, ain't no way. And I think people don't understand that God operates out of your logic. Like, you'll never understand God. Even when you thought you understand a part of him, that's it. It's just a part.
Right.
You never understand. There's, like, even when we get into heaven, we still won't understand God.
Right.
And we're gonna be with him for an eternity. How crazy is that? Like God is so big, you'll never grasp him.
He's so deep.
Yeah, like, you never grasp him. So, like, I think people allow logic to get in the way too. Oh, that's not logical, right? Or they'll use fear and label it as wisdom. Oh, it's not. Oh, like, for example, okay, we shouldn't tithe to the church because it's not in the budget. It's not wise. Is that wisdom or is that fear?
Definitely fear.
Right. But the people will label that as wisdom and be like, all right, I made the right choice. And they'll comfort themselves and console themselves that was a wise choice. But when really God says, I'll bless the cheerful giver. He said, test me in these things and I will bless upon you. So, like, why wouldn't you take that step out? Like, you can't.
Fear will stop you.
You can't build your faith if you don't try.
Absolutely.
That's like going to the gym and saying, that's like not going to the gym and saying, I'm going to build muscles. How are you going to do that? You have to go where? How are you going to build faith? By trying. Faith is a muscle. Like, is that something that you got to continue to work and work? And guess what? Just like in the gym, you're going to fail. And that's quite okay, because then there's the bar. You set the bar for the next time. So then you keep finding another avenue. Like, that's what's great about the gym. There's so many different avenues to get to your goal.
Right.
It's the same thing with faith. There's so many different avenues to understand God and read his word, worship and pray to get that knowledge. You just have to keep on working it.
And it's really about overcoming your fear. But I think, to me, why the story of Peter captivates my attention is because Peter got out of his fear to take the first few steps.
Yeah.
And then allowed fear to arrest him yet again.
Yeah.
And that's when he started to sink. So it's important for us to know, and even just like Peter, like, the fact that we put steps or efforts into moving forward, that's great. But it requires more than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because fear will come back again and again. It's almost like at every step, fear will come back and try to arrest your emotions.
Yeah.
Fear will try to come back and arrest what you're doing. Why? So that we won't continue to move forward, but that we will stay stagnant. And it's like you said, many times we fear the unknown. We fear success.
Yeah.
Like you said, we fear success. We fear, what lies ahead of us. We fear the unfamiliar. So fear has a way of arresting us emotionally. And what it does to us emotionally comes out physically.
Yeah.
Right? Because we see ourselves, like I said earlier, we're perfectly fine. We're what we consider free. But the reality is, if our mind is held hostage, our physical man can't move.
Absolutely. And
right? So that's why it says in the book of Proverbs, as a man thinketh,
so is he.
So is he. So, you could only go as far as your mind goes. So it leads me to believe that Peter had what it took to be able to overcome fear, but yet he allowed fear to arrest him in the midst of moving forward.
Yeah.
So how many of us have done it time and time again?
Yeah, that's true.
We take that step because we feel courageous for the second. And then, after the first step, we're like, oh my God. And we allow fear to arrest us yet again, which is why we're still not moving forward.
It's like us. It's like when we go to church, right? At church, we get motivated and stuff like that.
Right.
And then here comes Monday. Oh, here comes fear. You know what I mean? It's like you're so great with the brethren, but when you're by yourself, like, will you sustain that? Will you continue to develop your gift? Will you continue to cultivate your faith? And I think people need to understand that your choice, I think you preached about it, right? I think it's your choice is a seed.
Absolutely.
Your choice is a seed, right? And I was listening to a YouTube video with Pastor Jerry Flowers, and what he was saying was that your choice actually has generational longevity. Your choice has generational longevity. So, for example, when Jonathan decided to befriend David,
right,
his choice had generational longevity. Why? Because after Jonathan was dead, David sought out Mephibosheth and made room for him.
He remained loyal and faithful.
Right? Even when his pops was trying to kill him, Saul.
Right.
So like he made a choice, and guess what? David made room for him at the table. Right. Even though back then, in respect to the new royal family, they would kill the old family. They would slaughter them. So like think about, he said, nah, we're going to do away with this. I'm going to make room for you at my table. Even when Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane, he said, yo, if you can take this cup from me.
Absolutely.
My flesh is weak, but my flesh is weak, but my spirit is willing. But like, think about that. Jesus, even though when he was on the cross, he could have came off. He said, nah, I know what this is going to do in the long run. So this is my choice. And it has generational longevity. Now, we can worship God and repent at any time because we all fall short.
Right.
But now we have that choice and that free will to repent, and we also have free will, right? Where back then, if you read the book of Leviticus, you were cooked. You're quick. You sinned, you were dead. You did this, you were dead. You this, dead. Like you're just like, God was on a killing spree at that moment because it's just like you need to be by the law. But because Jesus came and broke the law,
right.
Now that choice has generational longevity.
Thank God.
So in building your faith, like, either you're going to do it now so you have that generational longevity of the choice so that way your great-grandchildren, your grandchildren can live further in faith, or you're going to revert back and allow fear to take a hold of you. And guess what? Now your children are going to see that and say, you know what? I'm going to stick with fear because this is all I know. You're teaching them. Right. Train a child as he should go and they won't depart from it. You're teaching them either this is how we're going to overcome fear or we're just going to let fear beat us every single time.
Absolutely.
And that was good, yo. Somebody put me out because I'm on fire.
Oh my God. Somebody help me. How about that? You want me to put you out?
No. Don't do that. That's hot coffee.
You just said you were on fire.
Yeah. I'm talking about metaphorically, woman.
Oh, all right. I'm just trying to help you out. You said
the Holy Spirit just
somebody
brewing.
Put me out.
No. Don't put me out. Don't put me out.
Right.
Don't put me out. Moral of the story, people. Build your faith. Break the fear now and build your faith. I promise you, you'll come out stronger by building your faith. You'll come out wiser. You'll come out spiritually strong and working that. And most importantly, you'll build that endurance for your faith.
Which we absolutely, positively need.
Because a lot of us lack. And we're calling a spade. We lack the endurance part. Because we're a microwavable generation and we want things in 30 seconds. And guess what, guys? Newsflash, it doesn't happen that way. So if you learn now, you'll be a lot better in the long run. I promise you.
But knowing what I know, you're still going to do it your way. And you're still going to do your own experiences because this is what happens.
Yeah, this happens, yeah.
Like when we tell little kids, don't touch the stove, you can get burnt. What happens?
Oh, that was me. She talked about me. Like, I was always the stubborn one. Even though my parents loved me to no end, they would tell me, hey.
Past tense?
Yeah, no. Still. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But they would tell me the stove is hot. And I'm like, yeah, is it really hot? I don't think it's really hot. See? And I would have to touch it in order to know, yep, it was hot. They were right. They were right my whole entirety of living. Just saying. So just listen. Don't do things the hard way. If people are giving you the gift of impartation, what they had to go through years of, you're getting in a split second. So take it, use it wisely, and allow it to equip you and build you for your next.
Basically, what he's trying to tell you is we already paid the tuition and went to school.
Yeah. So
that you can simply just have the gem of what we had to pay for.
Yeah, and you get it in 30 seconds. A matter of 30 seconds.
Right? So we went to school. We did the hard work. We paid for it. We suffered through it. We had to endure it. And we came today to let you know, listen, you can skip from part 1. You can skip all the way to 10 if you follow our instructions. But because I know you're not, you're going to have to go through it for yourself because many times that's what it requires, us going it through ourselves. But we want to let you know that you have the power to overcome fear, and it all starts in your mind. So if you can arrest fear in your mind, then the rest of it will be smooth sailing.
And then you'll be good. So just execute now.
That's it.
All right. Well, you guys have a blessed one. Listen, a few things before we go. Make sure you follow us. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the notification button on Spotify, all the podcast platforms. And shout out to our producer. You can reach her on her Instagram handle, Vanessa at Vanessa Films. She does amazing work. And if it wasn't for her, this would not be produced. So,
True story.
All right. So thank you. See you guys on the next episode.